Daniel Eggington. What do your family think of all this?
I don't tell him half of it. I said, just shot him in the head, left him there. Put me on a little boat the following morning, sent me to Panama. Literally, I couldn't do nothing about it. They literally took my passport off me.
You don't know if you're going to die at this point.
We'd found a skeleton as well.
A human body.
Human.
I can't believe we're only 25 minutes into this podcast.
If I come across cartel, I think they would have just killed me anyway. Oh, mate, I'm fucked. I've got blood coming down my back. I've got no toenails. And he's saying, give me $20 before I take you to my village. I got told I'm going to get ate by the tribes. They're still running away with bow and arrows. The cannibals are still there. And a 14-year-old kid, they made it just pepper this house with a weapon. And he killed probably 18, 20 people.
Honestly, I feel like I've just watched a series.
Yo, Curtis.
An extreme explorer, from travelling to Indonesia, to going to Costa Rica for 6 weeks, to Guyana, and then he cycled to Spain in lockdown. He's crossed the Darien Gap from Colombia to Panama. He failed that twice and then succeeded. And you've walked from Colombia to Brazil. Daniel Eggington, how are you, bro?
I'm okay. Nice to be here.
Did I get that right?
You did.
Just about.
You did.
How's things?
All right, in Birmingham for the week, visiting family. So yeah, everything's all right.
I want to go back to, obviously what you do is really extreme, and you're doing what 99.999 with endless nines of people won't do. Do you know what I mean? Your story's insane. We've had a quick chat off camera about everything that you do, but I want to know where this started for you. So you went to Indonesia in 2011. And you must have caught some kind of travel bug, some kind of explore bug.
I think it roots from, as a kid, I was always wanting to do crazy things. I'd be the one to be dared to do something and I'd do it. But as I'm growing up, I'd always want to try and do that a little bit more. So when I left school, first job was a zoo, probably one of the best jobs I ever had. But when you're 17, I got an £800 tax back from the job. And at 17, I thought it was loaded. And the first thing, I went back home, spoke to the family. I said, I want to go travelling. So they're thinking, yeah, okay. But I ended up booking a flight to a place in Indonesia called Sumatra. And I think from then, I've always wanted to just continue doing it. The trip to Sumatra, Indonesia, it was just me, again, like I say, 17, turning up at an airport, clueless of what to expect. And then I ended up trying to, nearly get arrested the moment I got into the country, because me as a rookie, a young dopey kid, I'm there in fully military gear. I went to, I think it was a shop in Harborne, and it had like old military gear. So I ended up buying old para boots, and I'm thinking, as soon as I get off the airplane, I'm going to the jungle. But I didn't realise there's 4 different religions there, and they're all fighting against each other, and they all hate the military. But like I say, I didn't have a clue. I got through probably 6 or 7 hours at 17 in the airport, ended up catching a taxi to a small village after they realised I weren't actual military, I was just a dopey Brit. And I ended up spending time in a little village asking people to try and get into the jungle. I want to go and see Sumatran tigers. Bearing in mind I'm 17, and they, like I say, they looked at me like I was daft anyway, from the military, from the airport to the locals. And it worked out. I ended up meeting a guy called Wanda, and he said, I've got 2 good friends, we'll be able to go into the jungle. So I'm thinking, yeah, sound. I paid them, it was probably about 12 quid a day, probably it worked out to. And within 2 days, I was in the jungle with 3 guys, didn't have a word of English, Wanda, Bendy and Ping. And there I was, spent literally 12 days in the jungle. And on my 18th birthday, I was sat watching Sumatran tigers in the middle of the jungle, hammering it down. Yeah.
So when most people go to Indonesia, you think of Bali and a lot of luxury and pool parties. And why did you want to go to the jungle?
I think I think my brain works different to a lot of other people. So if I say to myself, even as a kid, I want to do something. If it's be it boxing, because a few of the family did boxing, I'd want to box the best person in the region, or I'd want to try and be the best in the region. That translated to the training as a kid. That translated to the travelling. So I'm thinking, travel, let's go to a difficult place, but what's the most difficult place in that place? That's how Sumatra. Who knows where Sumatra is? You couldn't point most people couldn't point Sumatra out on a map. So I was like, yeah, Sumatra. So it's like an 18-hour flight. I think it was the most difficult place I could get to in Indonesia, and I think that's why.
So how long did you stay there?
So that was probably about 16 days, 17 days. So it's 12 days in the jungle, but between the start and the end, it was like getting into the jungle 2 days and then getting out.
And then you must have caught some kind of bug for it there, where you obviously now you're doing extreme stuff, and it started from a little holiday just going to visit tigers in the jungle.
Yeah. I think, I don't know why, like I say, it just set something up, I think, in my brain. And every year since then, I've gone somewhere, nothing as extreme as that, but then the travel's consistently, I'm trying to get a bit more complex, a bit more harder, a bit more unique. But yeah, I think that just set me up, I think. And every year since I've gone somewhere, that's that 12 years plus now. But
yeah. That was in 2011.
Yeah. So yeah.
What happened after that? So did you go home and just think like, this is it, this is what I'm doing now?
Yeah, like I say, it's hard to earn money as like a youngster anyway. Even harder to earn money through the travel. So I got a normal job, and then I just would then plan the next year, what am I going to do next year? And I worked normally probably 4 years, 5 years. And then in 2017, I settled on, I want to go to Latin America. And I ended up in Costa Rica at, I don't know, I was like 21, 22, however old I was. And yeah, Costa Rica on the Pacific side. So it's again just pure dense jungle. So I'd get into Costa Rica, spend a few days in the capital city, and I think go to the Caribbean coast where all the tourists go, or go to the Pacific coast where all the locals and all the jungles are. So I was saying, set myself a goal, because I always want a goal orientated or a focus, what I want to do. And this one was to try and find American crocodiles in the jungles in Costa Rica. So I've got videos. I was sat in, again clueless at that age. I was just turned up in a small village. No one knew who I was. I couldn't speak Spanish either then. So
Which you can now, can't you?
Yeah, I can now. I can get by now. You need to practice every single day. So as I've got there, I'm thinking, no, there's definitely American crocodiles here. So we're going to try and find the swamp. So I'd get down into the jungle. So that took a whole day, get to the Pacific coast. So it's like a 15-hour bus journey, then another quad bike journey into a little village. So then a tiny little village or town called Puerto Jimenez, probably large, probably quite a bit bigger now, to be fair. But yeah, by that time, there's probably, 30 houses, one pub. I mean, Latin America, any town's got a pub, and it's any excuse for a party.
Bit like then.
Yeah. So it was that was the focus of that trip, to try and find American crocodiles. And I found the swamps, and I was like, literally sat 9 hours in this swamp getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, looking at Brazilian wandering spiders at my feet, and then a crocodile popped up, and I've got a brilliant picture of a crocodile in the swamps of Costa Rica.
What's the difference between them crocodiles and the ones you see at the zoo?
So the ones that was at the zoo, they were the caiman at the zoo, but these ones are American crocodiles, so it's probably third biggest in the world. So you get the salt waters of Australia, you get Nile crocodiles of Africa, then you get the American crocodile of Latin America. Quite rare now, to be fair, but it's up and down the Latin American coast. Why
did you sit in the swamp for that long?
I'll never see them again. I mean, again, people growing up, and these experiences. I want stories. If I ever do have any kids, I want to be able to have my own stories. I want experiences, and I want to say, if I die tomorrow, I'm content. I've seen what I want to do. I set my aims and goals. Like I say, who can tell you that I've sat down in the swamp to look at American crocodiles? How many people can tell you they've gone party in Ibiza? Probably a lot more than people that've gone to the swamps. Gone to the swamps of Costa Rica.
It's mad. So what most tourists would do, you do the complete opposite. You just go the opposite way to that.
Yeah. It's never. I say a lad's holiday. I worked in Benidorm when I was as a rep.
So you just thought, been there, done that.
Yeah, literally, I lasted 10 days in Benidorm. There was partying. There was a Geordie guy and some blonde girl in the same flat, and they were just partying all night. And I was like, nah, that's enough for me. I was within the first party weekend, hit the road the next day. I couldn't deal with that. So yeah, that's my only experience of like a mad holiday. And then everyone went partying out with them. I just stayed in the flat.
How long did you stay in that jungle for?
That Costa Rica as a whole, that was 6 weeks. So it was like, once I seen the American crocodiles, after like 3-4 weeks, planning it, trying to like connect with the local people, and then I enjoyed that kind of area. I went looking, you can see snakes galore in Costa Rica. You want to go vipers, boa constrictors, but once I seen the American crocodiles, I was happy. But yeah, 6 weeks in Costa Rica.
So what does the rest of that 6 weeks consist of? So what did you leave once you found your crocodile?
No, I stayed in the area. I spent camping in jungles. I think in 2 days I stayed in one area.
Talk to me about that.
So there's trails in these kind of areas, and the local people have names for certain trails. So again, you'd have I don't know, the Sloth Trail, and it was just how they kind of navigate their local area. And there was one called the Toricipello. And Toricipello means furtherlands. It's one of the worst snakes in the world. So kill the most people in Latin America. And I asked why they named that trail as Toricipello, because when they were clearing it, they found 15, 20 Toricipello snakes. So I was like, that sounds like a dodgy place to camp. And I potentially could see a Toricipello. So yeah, I camped out. Bear in mind as well, this was the first time I camped alone in the jungle. Because the first time was with Wanda, Benny and Ping in Sumatra. And they was locals. They had all the knowledge. Me in the jungle on my own in Costa Rica. So I'm thinking, I set on my little hammock. And I couldn't tie knots properly then, like hammock knots. It's middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, hammock's up, I got a little campfire, I still got pictures of it as well, and middle of the night, 3, 4 o'clock, the hammock, it must have been a bat or something that hit the tie-ins, and in the middle of the night, the hammock came off the one side, and I just hit the deck. So yeah, that was it, on the Toricipello route. So imagine my brain thinking of furtherlands, venomous snakes, and it's middle of the night where they're most active, and I've just fell onto the ground. Yeah, so yeah, that was one of another experience in Costa Rica.
I'm just trying to find out what's going on in your brain to think, right, that's where people have died. That's the dangerous one. I want to go and do that.
Again, it's the way my brain works. I can't explain it. My brain, it's not a logical way. It's just what's the most difficult thing to do.
I think I've asked you that about 3 times in different ways because I'm really trying to find out where you get that from. I don't. Like most people are doing a U-turn at that.
Yeah, I just literally, I can't place where it came from. I mean, by all standards, the family's a normal family. Grew up like in Brum. Me and my brother, that's just kind of bit like different size sandboxes. I do all of this sort of stuff. And it's just, I don't know, I can't place that moment when I think I want to do the most difficult thing. I think it's just, I want experiences. Maybe I've seen certain things and I'm thinking, I want to live life a bit to the edge, maybe.
What do your family think of all this?
I don't tell them half of it. So it's just like 2 days, like I say, I've done some crazy things and I've only told them like a day beforehand, be that to when I'm traveling to certain places, when I've gone to France to spend some time with the French Foreign Legion. It's just, I only tell them like days before because my passport will get chopped up, I think. And when I was young, I tried to join the forces, and my first thing my sister did was go and order inhalers from the GP, so I couldn't join the forces. So yeah, and that's literally what I think they would do now if I was to tell them. So my passport was locked away. I'll never bring my passport back when I come to Birmingham because my trips are only getting more extreme, and it'll be my mama try and be smart and like chop it up.
Your trips are definitely getting more extreme. And at the end of this podcast, we're going to talk about what you're doing next. Mm-hmm. But before we talk about that, which I'd say is your most extreme yet, I want to go through the whole journey. So after Costa Rica, you went to Guyana.
Yeah. So Guyana was probably the most successful trip at that point, to the point when that took 2 years back and forward, communicating with local people. So Guyana, for the people that don't know, they straight away think West Africa. But Guyana is a Latin American country, the only English-speaking country on the continent. So it's next to Brazil, next to Venezuela, and it's part of the Caribbean countries, really. So yeah, it's all British-speaking. It's an old British Commonwealth colony. But yeah, and it's just 78% of jungle. So I'm thinking, again, that's extreme. At that time, it was the most violent place, supposedly, in Latin America, like the most deaths and all that. But again, if you hear all of that on the news, then people won't do anything. I'm thinking, Guyana, how can I try and plan a trip to Guyana? And what sort of trip could I go to Guyana? So I'm thinking of rivers, coastal pathways. So I'm thinking there's a number of rivers in Guyana, and Guyana's called Guyana because that just means land of many waters in Spanish, in English. So yeah, the Essequibo River was the biggest river in Guyana. So I'm thinking, let's go to the biggest river in Guyana, where it's going to take days to get there, and try and canoe it. So that was the initial plan of that one. And that was 2017, maybe 2018. And again, I was there on my birthday, in the jungle on my birthday. So that was my 25th birthday, I think. But yeah, so Guyana, I took 2 years to plan, and Guyana's the country hasn't got very good communications, like the internet's poor, and when they have got internet, they have to travel to the capital, which is Georgetown, and to go to where I wanted to go, which was a tribal indigenous village called Apateri, the chief had to give him a permission. So every time the chief would travel to Georgetown, which would probably be every 3 to 4 weeks, that's the only time I could communicate. So I think no one's replying back to me, but I've realised it was him not getting any internet until he goes to the capital. So he'd send emails back. I'd get permission off the military, the government. And once they got there, it was really helpful how you can do it, what we can do for you. And so I got in touch with them. They said, yeah, we can do it. And when I eventually turned up in early January of 2017, 2018, whatever it was.
2018,
yeah,
I think it was on your
2018.
timestamp.
So yeah, it was Guyana. The initial plan was to travel upstream, so from the source, which is the ocean, upstream to the source of the Essequibo River. When I got into Georgetown, I met with a local guy called Luke. He was a bird photographer of Guyana, and he's like, it's going to be a lot more difficult to go upriver on a boat because you have to pay for petrol. See, I didn't even think of this sort of stuff. You'd have to pay petrol. You'd have to stop in Bartica. You have to go to the more gold mining towns, which is a bit more risky. People walking around, very illegal people, and they're all carrying guns. So more than likely, if you go upriver, you'll most likely get robbed if they assume you're buying petrol because you've got loads of money and they think you're rich. So I'm thinking, okay. He then suggested a better way to do it, that go upriver by a dugout traditional indigenous canoe, like a wooden canoe. That sounds interesting, and raise awareness for the tribes, so their commitment to protecting the land. So I was like, okay. So eventually ended up chartering an aeroplane, which is, you say that, it sounds like it's going to be extremely expensive, but it's 150 quid for like a 4-seater aeroplane. It's all got holes in the bottom of it. So this is how it worked out. So Luke sorted it out with a lady called Faye, who was like the go-to with the tribes, the indigenous communities. So when I eventually paid the 150 quid to charter the plane from a small little airport called Ogle, I've got there, the first thing the pilot says, sit in the front with me because we have to make sure the weight's okay. So I was like, okay. So I'm there, sitting in the front.
A bit like a helicopter, that is, isn't it? Helicopters run the same.
And there's literally 4 people in the plane, me, the pilot, and 2 ladies.
Hole in the floor.
Yeah, hole in the floor. And I've got a video of me there, and the joysticks are coming out. I'm there just froze. Like, I don't want to be clicking any buttons or nothing. But it's like the wind's literally coming up through the holes in this aeroplane.
What's going through your head, yeah, when that plane's taking off and you can see through the floor?
I'm just literally, I'm not religious at all, but the pilot's doing his crosses on it, on his body.
That's not a good sign, bro. If I got on a Ryanair and I seen the pilot doing this, I'm thinking, fuck that, I'm out of here.
It was wild, man. And he was like, I'm like, is it okay? He's like, yes, in a real strong Patwa accent. It's good, it's fine. I was like, okay. So I just put my trust into this pilot. He's done it loads of times. But yeah. As we got up through the clouds, and then as we come back down through the clouds, you can just see it's just jungle from literally, you can't even see the ocean. It's just pure jungle. And I'm like, yeah, this is exciting. And then there's little rivers, and there's a really big river. And he's like, Essequibo, he's pointing out the regions. So I'm thinking, that's the river that I'll be canoeing down in a couple of weeks. So I got into the village of Apateri, and it landed on like a mud track. And there's all these like people from the community, so it was a really big indigenous community, and the chiefs came out to check who's here, and I've got this permission from what I printed off from an email, so I had to show the chief the permission, and then it left me to it. They was getting all their rice and all the petrol off the plane, and this lady called Faye came over to me, put me on the boat, another 4 hours on boat up to her little island. And I say, what I need to do, we need to travel down. She's like, yeah, I'm going to try and source a guide. And it ended up 2-3 days, so we'd go into small villages and communities, and no one would said, no, we're not doing it, it's never been done before. The Kanaima will eat you, you'll get killed. So I'm thinking, I'm just going with the flow.
The what will eat you?
Kanaima. So the Kanaima is a belief in Guyana that shapeshifters, so genuine belief in that Kanaima's going to eat you, you're going to get ate by the Kanaima. So I'm just going with the flow. I can't really say, oh, you're talking nonsense, because they'll throw me in the river. So I'm like, okay. So I'm learning about it, Lenny. I'm like, what's the Kanaima? I didn't have a clue. Like, the Kanaima will eat you. I'm like, okay, what's the Kanaima? It's like a person that shapeshifts, and they live in the jungle, and they turn into jaguars and different animals. Or Old Gert will get you. I'm like, who's Old Gert? These are all genuine folk beliefs. And Old Gert is like a vampire, an old lady that they're truly terrified. She's got fire eyes as well, supposedly. And if you don't get hit by Canaima, old Gert's going to get you. Okay, so cut a long story short, I'm going to go in with the flow. And the guide ended up being her dad. So her dad agreed to take me because no one else did. I'm there. Another plane's not going until 2 weeks going back. So I'm stuck in this little village for 2 weeks if no one don't get me on a boat canoeing down the river. So yeah, got worries about Canaima and old Gert.
Did you ever meet him?
Oh, that's another part of the story.
Well, you're still here, so
Yeah.
I guess not.
We did meet a Canaima, believe it or not. So anyway, 2-3 days in, we knew who the guide was. We got our boat, which was their granddad's boat. So I paid like 100 quid for that boat. Paid him 50 quid a rent, like all in all. Took us 12 or 13 days to canoe. So it was me canoeing for a bit. Campbell canoeing, which was the guy's name. Campbell and his son were the guides. So it was like a son and a dad team. The dad had done it before, as in like gone certain like 6 days as far as the son had never gone that far. So the son's excited. I'm not paying the son's just coming for the adventure. So they kept saying, well, this is the area we've got to worry about. Canaima, genuine concerns with Canaima. That's what they believe as any belief that we can think of. I'm like, okay, learning as much as I can. Couple of days in, we ended up on an island, and it was just loads of crocodile eye shine around this island, which was, they wasn't concerned. So I wasn't concerned, just taking pictures, documenting it. And there was an area called Kurupakari, which they said they need to be really careful with. And I'm like, okay, Kurupakari, that's like 5 days later. I'm like, okay, sound, we'll worry about that when we get there. Kurupakari, got there. And there's 2 guys on this riverbank. But bear in mind, try to visualise just river, dense jungle on both sides for 1,000 miles easily. So from here easily from here up to the top of Scotland, just jungle, and it leads into the Amazon. So it's just dense jungle, never been destroyed or cut down. It's just dense primary rainforest. There's snakes, there's like 15 foot. There's crocodiles as big as the boat. Well, say in that part of the world, it's caiman, black caiman were the big ones. When we got into Kurupakari, there was a couple of guys sat on this bank. It's like, don't look at them. Okay, don't look at them. He's Canaima. So they believe this guy we're coming up to is Canaima. So I'm like, okay. So I'm just sitting there frozen like this, solid, just looking forward. I'm not paddling or nothing. I'm just walking forward. Anyway, we got close to this guy, and he called us over, threw us fish at us, left us to it. He had scars all over his body. His eye was missing. He had scars. It looks like something out of the movies. And then he was the Canaima, supposedly. After that's all he did. A long journey, gave us a fish, and he just went about his business, went into the jungle.
They're saying Canaima eats you.
Yeah. So this man is a Canaima.
Could he have been a cannibal?
Possibly. And there's definitely cannibals in the tribe. In the Amazon rainforest, 100%.
What were the tribe like?
It was they're little, like, even over years they just little in it, like they just evolved to be in the jungle environment. So they're just little, but they're solid. So it's like different tribal races. So I was with a tribe called the Wapichana. That was my guide, and they spoke their own languages and stuff. And there was a tribe in region 1, 2, or 3 or whatever. They would speak their own indigenous language. And once we finished with this Canaima man, they told me the story why he's a Canaima and why they're scared of him. He was in Apateri 5 years ago, and he loved a princess, like one of the royal girls of that village. She didn't love him back, so he killed the man she loved and then disappeared with a knife. They showed me like a knife, what he killed, like a machete. Killed him in a hammock, and then he disappeared and left in the jungle. And that's why they're all scared of him, because he just disappeared in the jungle. So that was the Canaima story, and he was supposedly the Canaima, but he'd lived in the jungle his whole life. Scars, missing eyes. He was just something out of movies. But yeah, that was Kurupakari. That was Essequibo River. And that was only day 4, and it lasted 12 days.
I can't believe we're only 25 minutes into this podcast.
But yeah,
I am currently in the jungle. Like I'm getting everything you say. That is absolutely crazy. What's the fear like?
Fear. You've got to have fear in these places. Like, I mean, you've got to have fear with everything, but you can't let it take control. Otherwise, you're not gonna think rationally. You got to think. Like, you can't get complacent. You've got to be scared. You've got to be able to understand what you're scared of or what you're fearful of. But I think it's just dealing with it there and then. I think that's how my brain's always been. Dealing with it now when it's happening. It's like a bubble around you. There's no point in thinking about it when it may happen. But yeah, it's just your brain will go 100 miles an hour if you're thinking about all the other things that will kill you or whatever in a city for God's sake as well. If you're thinking all the bad stuff you hear on the news, I think you got to think about or fear something when it's happening. Not well, it may happen.
I just want to say to anyone watching now, to go and check out your YouTube. We'll put it on the screen now because you're trying to grow your YouTube.
Yeah.
There's some amazing stuff on there. I got lost in it this morning. And for anyone that actually wants to see the things that we're talking about, they can head over to your YouTube and actually see it because you document a lot of this as well.
Yeah.
Bring me to the end of that trip.
So, I mean, like trying to draw it like day 7 or day 8. The son asked me if polar bears lived in England, and the dad asked me if dinosaurs still existed, and that's how zoned out they are from the community. And you can't really say, "Yeah, you dopey fucker," like that. You can't really say that because they truly believe that, and that's how withdrawn they are from the real world. The one asked me if polar bears lived in England, and the one asked me if dinosaurs still existed. I'm like, where did you get that from?
The polar bears ain't the mad one.
Nah.
Dinosaurs.
Do dinosaurs? He said, "Dad, dinosaurs still exist." No, it's like as in a question. And I'm like, I couldn't. I said, well, crocodiles, mate. Maybe you could kind of say that. But I couldn't like Tyrannosaurus Rex ain't going to be running up and down the road. But you could not like, you can't fathom the way how like withdrawn.
We got them at the zoo.
Well, yeah, it's just how wild that is, and that's how I kind of stepped over that.
But obviously these people have got no access to phones or anything, so they don't know.
Nah. And he had a magazine from National Geographic from the 80s, which was a fossil edition. So some missionary probably took it to him 1980s, and his dad's had it ever since. And that's literally where his evidence of his thought process came from. Yeah. Again, the story, like I say, only scratched the surface, and after day 9 or day 10, we kind of got to like a mining village. We're saying mining, it was like people chopping down trees, illegal mining village. And he's like, there's an old lady that used to live there. I'm like, okay, an old lady used to live there. Anyway, it looked abandoned, gone on, canoed up, tied it off, set up our hammock. And there's a lady in a hammock. And she screamed, "I know you were coming, a man from a far, far land." And she literally said she had a dream last night, a man from a far land was coming to visit her. And I've got a video of that. And then Campbell is like, that's how we be, that's how we be. He's like, is that what you're talking about? Like, how wild is that? And she's telling you outright, I knew a man from a far land was going to come and visit me. So again, how mad is the folklore, but where does that like witchy I don't know, that spiritual stuff come from? Mad. And then that was probably like 5 seconds going wild, and then she just froze and she started talking about food and toilet, that's where the bathroom is and all that sort of stuff.
Speaking English?
Yeah. And then Wapichana to the tribe, to the guide that was there. But she kept saying her boyfriend from Germany, and he's in Guyana, Georgetown, getting some wood for her. Her ex-man used to be a nasty person, but then she went rational and she started talking about normal stuff like fishing and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, you can see how mad and how wild. Well, that makes as much sense to me as people believing in other religion. That's like, they're all on the equal plane for me. As in, you can believe in whatever you want, but hers is just as, in her head, is just as right as Christianity, Islam, or whatever.
Yeah, it's just what they believe in. Yeah. And probably what they've been taught just growing up in a small village from a young age.
Yeah.
So
wild.
This is day 10.
Yeah. So it lasted 2 more days, and then, like I say, we canoed, and it was kind of, there was more illegal gold mining people, like dredges. So they'd build their own dredge, which is like a crappy old boat, and they'd just mine for gold in the river then. So when you got to a town called Bartika, which was the end destination, there's all these homemade dredges, like homemade canal boats. And there's just people walking around with revolvers, with gold in pouches. And they've obviously done all the mining in the jungle and have come to this town in Bartika, and they're just selling all their gold. So yeah, it's like a cowboy town there. And I'm there's no electricity. And I'm in the pub because I'm celebrating. Bearing in mind, my birthday was the day before, my 25th. So I said, I'll drink the rum, the local rum, which was Eldorado rum. In Guyana.
Eldorado's a beer, isn't it?
No, Eldorado rum. It's like the gold, isn't it? It's like the golden land.
I swear, is that what it means?
Yeah.
Because there is a beer called Dorado. Sorry, carry on.
And got there, and everyone's got lighters on, like the old, I don't know what music video it was, and everyone's got their lighters on, lighting up the house. Literally, everyone's there walking around talking with each other with lighters in their face. Yeah. So that's again.
I was gonna ask, if you're in a pub with no electricity, how can you see what's going on?
Yeah, everyone's just got these lighters. So it's like people aerosol cans and all sorts.
What?
Yeah. And that was like, they're coming from Georgetown, they're coming from the jungle. Yeah.
We're still at the first half of that trip.
Yeah. So, and then that was like when I finished. Bartika was a wild, wild town. there's a lot of Venezuelans that was going there. Venezuela started turning a bit dodgy around them times because of the Maduro situation, and there's all the Venezuelans in there, so it's a bit dodgy. But again, no cartel's going to bother me. They've got more money than I have, so what are going to trouble me for?
Yeah.
They just see me and they call me crazy white boy. I'm like, yeah, sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We was talking off camera about people just being people.
Yeah.
No matter what they do as a line of work or how many people they've killed, they're not going to come and just kill you for no reason.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no gain for them.
there's no gain. You ain't got a Rolex on. You're not. You know what I mean? So yeah, like you said, they're richer than you.
Yeah.
You're just a crazy boy in the jungle.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So that was a big success, Guyana.
Question. So when they were telling you about the Kamina and Old Gert, knowing what you know, like growing up here and stuff, did that worry you, or did you just think like, come off it?
Yeah, like because in my head, that's a belief system. That's great. That means as much sense to me as Jesus and all that. I respect it, and I like to learn about that sort of stuff. But in my head now, it's fireflies. What you're seeing in the jungle, which you're saying is Old Gert's eyes. It's just bare fireflies. Yeah, but they truly believe it.
I was putting it on the same kind of retrospect as ghosts.
Yeah, but
some people believe it, some people don't.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got people in the tribe in the middle of the jungle.
Yeah.
They're gonna believe certain things. Like, what's your opinion on ghosts? Do you think they're real, or?
No,
I'm not going to take it there. I'm just generally interested.
Not so much ghosts. You can have a conversation with me about aliens.
Okay.
I'm on board with the alien situation, but ghosts, not so much.
So that's Old Gert and Kanana?
Yeah.
To them?
Yeah.
A lot of people here will tell you no ghosts are real. I've seen them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
A lot of people here now are starting to believe in like skinwalkers. That's what they're called here.
Yeah.
Like people that can change into different things. It's all over TikTok at the moment.
Yeah, I think like people, all this Wicca stuff, like people in crystals and all that sort of stuff. That old lady, how would she have just known of an old man from a distant land coming? I don't know how much sense is in it, but something's going on in the universe, isn't it? I don't know.
Something's got to be going on.
What was going through your head
when I seen her? I just froze. Literally, you can see me. I'm literally recording it, and I'm seeing them like talking to her, and I'm like, I didn't even engage with her really. She was just saying, a man from a far, far land would come to see me.
That worried.
Yeah, it was scary to start with because we're sleeping on a like porch in a sense, isn't it? It's like just a little hill, a little dirt hill.
Yard?
Yeah. And just imagine waking up and she's just sitting there looking at her. Fuck me. I had nightmares, but I had nightmares about planning the next trip and all sorts. It just takes over my life, innit? Yeah. So that's Guyana.
Anything else to touch on in Guyana? Anything crazy happen? Anything
Nah,
that you saw?
I mean, there might be a few Guyanese people listening because there's a big Guyanese community in Brum, but they'll all know about that one nightclub, Palm Cove and Georgetown. As soon as I've celebrated there, you ever going to go Guyana? Go to that. That's the spot. But
I don't think I'll be going anywhere, you big brother.
It's brilliant. One of the best nights I've ever had out.
Really?
Yeah, it's all like Indian, like the indigenous communities, the Caribbean community, and everyone's just there mingling.
Mad.
Yeah.
So after that, we had that horrible lockdown thing.
Yeah. So
let's not touch on that too much, but you did something in lockdown.
Yeah. So all the flights were grounded. So I'm restless, and I asked for 15 days leave from work. At the time, I was doing some youth work in Cov, and they said no. So I was like, okay, I resigned, bought a cheap bike, and I cycled to Spain with a little project called Brum to Iran, so a little £100 bike, which I brought off
to Spain.
Yeah, brought it off some guy in Smevik, and that took me. It's like 100 miles a day getting to top of Spain, and then over the Pyrenees in France down into northern Spain. That was isolating, like as in like people's it's locked down, but it was like just I didn't speak to nobody for 12 days. Which was nice, really. But it was just me and the little villages in France and Spain.
I can imagine not speaking to people for that long would feel nice at about day 6. Like, the first few days are probably weird doing that, and like not speaking to no one for days and days. And at day 6, you probably think, fucking hell, this is quite peaceful.
Yeah. And like, I loved it, and I'd always want to do another big bike trip. But I'd want to do it with somebody because you experience a bit more. And I mean, a few of the mistakes I made as soon as I got into France, I was cycling on the wrong road. So there's people coming up the expressway because it's the switch over the roads, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I didn't clock that, so that was a close call.
Yeah.
Close call there. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Did you cycle back?
Nah. The bike was in bits by then. I brought it off some cheap thing. It was falling apart.
Sounds like an excuse, bro. Sounds like an excuse.
I drilled like holes in it so I could put like things to like a pannier rack because it was like an old crappy road bike. But yeah, 12 days it took. The plan, and I raised some money for a charity called Healing Venezuela, and they do a lot of work with the people in Venezuela. It's fucking going wild at the minute. So I raised about 800 quid for them. But yeah, that was the aim of it. But yeah, getting busy in the middle of lockdown rather than going stir crazy. So, yeah.
Do you know what's crazy? 30 minutes in, and we haven't touched the surface of this next story that we're going to talk about.
So,
and you know what I'm talking about, because I got lost. I've said it already, but I got lost in your Instagram and your YouTube this morning, and I mainly got lost in this one.
Mm-hmm.
So, talk to me about the Darien Gap. Is that how you say it?
Yeah. So the Darien Gap is, you Google search that, and the first 100 searches, the worst place on the planet, the most dangerous border crossing, the most dangerous jungle in the world. Again, you hear so much on BBC and all these main news streams. You want to gain your own experience and you want to form your own opinions with everything and anyone. That was a big trip. That took 5 years of my life planning that. So prior to lockdown, within lockdown, I was doing like trips to Colombia, trips to Panama, living in houses in Panama on the border. And 2020, I think, was the first attempt just before lockdown. 2019 was the first big main attempt to crossing. But before I even got to the Darien Gap, I was connecting with people online here who like Airbnb host counsellors in certain towns and villages. And one was, hey, get in touch with me. I'm a mayor of Jurado, which is a town in Colombia. I'm like, okay. He gave me all his details, his name. But one thing was weird. He had a Gmail account, like email. I was thinking that's a bit weird. So I had a plan to go to the Colombian embassy anyway in London to try and get permission to go to the area. Anyway, I got there, got all his details, and I'm like, this person said he can help me cross over into the area or get me into the Darien, or Choco in Colombia is where it's known, the Department of Choco. And once I've got there, like, no, nothing to do with us. I have no idea who he is. So this person was a part of the group. And I think it was like a plan for him to kidnap me and sell me off. And that's what they said. So they'd kidnap you and they'd just try and barter with people back here in the UK to try and earn some money.
And what happens if they don't get the money?
Get lost in the jungle and never be seen again. But yeah, someone did try to cross a few years back, a Swiss guy, and because he had GPS device, they just shot him in the head, left him there, and no one found his body for years and years and years. And they only found it in 2016 because of the peace treaty, what the Colombian government and the FARC rebels put, and they had to say, yeah, we found him. This is where we killed him, and they found his body with that. Then, yeah. Oh yeah, the Colombian Darien Gap, that took my life, like 5 years. I was just dreaming about it, thinking about it. It was crazy. And when eventually, the first time that failed, which was 2019, it was because the military took my passport off me. And you can hear all the fighting when I've turned up. They took my passport away in Colombia and said, no, you can't go because they're fighting. And that being who they're fighting, it's the ELN and the Gulf Clan. They were fighting amongst each other. And you could literally hear it when I'm in Jurado. You can hear all the gunfire. So they said, no, put me on a little boat the following morning, sent me to Panama. Literally, I couldn't do nothing about it. They literally took my passport off me and gave it back to me the next morning. So that failed that time because of the fighting. And then the second time, 2021, it failed again because the military did the same thing. But they just didn't have an excuse for it this time. They just took my stuff off me. But within these times, I've gained a big network there. So every time I'm going there over the 5 years, from the Panama side and the Colombian side, I'm meeting people that I've ended up trusting over the 5 years. People that work so in the tourism, but really they're ministers or chaplains in the area. But yeah, they're just trying to earn a bit of money on you. 2021, when it failed the second time, again, I couldn't do nothing about it. But like I say, I built a good network there. And when I got there with the boat captain, he's seen me for the last 5 years. And he's pointing people out in the village. He's the head of ELN. He's the head of this. He's the head of that. And there's literally the cartels, or the ELN, the right-wing military, paramilitary, which is the clan, and the left-wing guerrillas. They literally sat there with the soldiers and police partying, drinking beer, with a gun on the bench, literally just sitting there doing nothing but partying. And again, Latin America, any excuse for a party.
So it is how you see it in the movies then?
Yeah.
Like the top heads, even though they're on opposite sides, they're all sat together.
Yeah. In bright Hawaii type t-shirts as well. Like not just like like drib drab grey t-shirts. They're wearing really flamboyant jewelry, Hawaii t-shirts, you know, like proper colourful. And yeah, just sat there with machine guns and handguns on the bench next to him.
And you're just chilling, having a beer.
Yeah, and he's pointing them all out. You drink over there rum, whatever it may be, or a Corona, and you have to get the small ones, they say, because that's more flavoursome. That's what they say, and that's how you build a good relationship. You can't drink the big Corona; it has to be the small ones, and that's like a cultural thing to build a friendship. Yeah,
That's
weird.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah, weird. But yeah,
Spend twice the amount of money. That's why.
Yeah.
Your beer runs out quicker.
Yeah. So that was 2021, and 2022 was when it was a big, like, a success. So all of 2021, I was training. 2022 August, I went out there again, and I literally hid from the soldiers of the military when I got into the village. So I met my boat captain again, the same boat captain. He's like, but to be fair, I never even mentioned, over the years of planning and building the network, I got in touch with one of the top men in ELN, and it took me 4 years to have a conversation with him. I had conversations with him, and on the Thursday when it all opened back up, it was a March or whatever it was, it opened back up, like, the lockdown rules, so you could go. So in the middle of the week, me and my friend went to a pub, and I had a message on my WhatsApp. It was a Colombian number, and it was the colonel of the ELN. He's contacted me after 4 years of me trying to contact him, and I'm asking for permission. Is it possible? He's like, yeah, as long as you're not with the military, you come and see me first, and he gave me names of who to see and who to pay and all that sort of stuff. On the Saturday following that conversation, the Colombian military had dropped a bomb and he died. So they've killed him over the years. So I had to start back from square one. Again, the dynamics of Colombia, is from one day to the next, it's just completely different. It's so fluid, as in there's so many groups and so many armed rebels and stuff there. Yeah, it just changes all the time.
Did you want to give up at any point? You failed twice. Was you ever going to say, you know what, maybe this one...
Nah, I think, again, my brain, if I set myself a goal, I'm doing it from a 5-mile run to, I want to cross the Darien Gap. I said to myself, before I hit 30, I'm going to cross the Darien Gap. I failed 28, 29, and on 30, I did it. And like I say, and that was 2 years ago.
Manifestation there, mate.
Yeah, when I did it, I hated every minute of it when I was doing it. The physical side, it was draining, it was emotional. But once I completed it, in 2022, I was overwhelmed. Like, I've got a video of myself talking to him and almost crying on camera, saying I did it, ringing my brother on my satellite phone, ringing my the journalist in Colombia to make sure he's like my point man in Colombia, saying, yeah, I'm all good. But yeah,
take me through it then. Let's go.
This 2022, I hid from the military, so they didn't confiscate my passport. Connected with a local fixer who's been keeping me in touch with the cartels. But the year prior, 2021, was ELN who was in charge. And 2022, the clan, the Gulfo, so the Gulf clan, was in charge. So again, the dynamics have changed. So they're the worst kind of people. They're the right-wing extremist military. They're just trafficking drugs, trafficking arms, trafficking people, and they're connected with all the Mexican cartels. So they're the worst ones you want to bump into. If it's a left-wing, like guerrillas, they have an ideal. They want freedom for everybody, but they're fighting in the extreme way. But yeah, the right-wing are the extreme ones you don't want to see. Got my fixer to connect me with all these people. And he's like, he didn't want to do nothing for 7 days. He was like, no, it's too dangerous. I'm not connecting you. I'm not helping you. But I'm saying, I'm not going to go nowhere until I do it. It's a dream of mine. I'm going to do it. Anyway, he said, okay. He got me in touch with a man from the clan, from the Gulf clan. I went and met him with him, and I ended up paying him. I'm thinking 400 quid, 500 quid for like permission. He's like, nah, 1,500. So I think, fuck. I literally only had 1,500, the equivalent in Colombian money. So I was like, I've got to pay him all of it. And then I only had $300 for my time when I get to Panama. Got there and I've met him. He's about 4 stone, wringing wet, bag of bones. He had a bucket hat on with loads of the hoop earrings what kids used to get he had all of them in his hat, just stapled into his hat, and he just walking around. He was high as a kite, walking around with a bottle of rum and beer, and I had to give him 1,500 quid.
Sounds like Jack Sparrow.
Listen, he was just a scary looking dude, and he was about 4 stone, wringing wet. And he was the point man at that point in that area to pay, and he was the go-to in the Gulf clan. So yeah, connected with him. He then gave me a certain amount of rules. Don't use a drone, don't document it, don't video it. I'm like, Why? Because people are working in the area. Being that it's like they've got their operations, or the Gulf have got the Clan del Gulf have got their operations. 2 young lads he introduced me to, 15 probably. Said get on a boat with them. Got on a boat with them, thinking it's either now or never. 4 hours upriver.
You don't know if you're going to die at this point.
You're
just thinking, fuck it, I'm here, I'm doing it.
But my Spanish at this
time. How do you know
time,
you're not getting set up?
No idea. Like it's literally taking a chance, and it's either now or never. I'm going to do it now, or I'm going to end up in the river, and that's how my brain worked. And I'm saying, I got in a boat with these 2 young lads, but they're talking behind me, innit? Like on top of the port. I can't really hear the conversation because I can get by on Spanish now, and I hate not being a part of a conversation because I don't know what they're talking about. But I've took pictures, I'm doing selfies and everything, so I'm taking selfies, and I'll send that to a journalist. So that's a risk mitigation thing that I do. So I'll take people's pictures of their Facebook, their profile, their email address, and I'll take a selfie, and then I'll send that to whoever I need to send it to back in the UK, and which is a clever thing to do, but they don't think nothing of it. So it's a selfie with some dude, and then I'll send a picture to the journalist in Colombia. So there's always a face if they need to do a search or whatever.
In case you go missing.
Yeah. So yeah, little
You're just
things like that.
setting up to go missing, basically.
Yeah, little things like that, and I wouldn't be privy to that. I wouldn't know. I've never spent time in the military, but I spent time with an organisation called Hostile Environment Training that same year, and they sponsored me to do a training. So I had to do kidnap awareness course with them. So they bash you up for 5 days, and these are ex-SAS guys, isn't it? So they're the things that they gave you knowledge of, little nuggets of information that would do that, which would reduce the risk to you. And I still speak to them now. So it's little tech selfies with them, and just give a little brief conversation, like what they look like or whatever, to send that. So they took you to a room, they treated you really bad as if you've been kidnapped, piss on you and all sorts. Punch you. Yeah, so you go to a place. It's what you have to do this course, hostile environment training course, in it to go to certain areas. But I didn't need to do it. I reached out to them to see if they could help me because there was a lot of kidnaps going on in Colombia. So they took me away. They said, yeah, 5 days. We do a trauma first aid course, mine awareness, weapons awareness, and kidnap behaviour. So I'm like, yeah, sound. So I'm up for that. So yeah, and I ended up doing that. So they bashed you up for a couple of days, and they brought a really pretty lady in, and she's stroking your face. This all just fucks with your mind frame, innit? Like they're treating you as if you're being kidnapped. They brought this babe in, stroking your face. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm touching you up and that. Saying, oh, I'm sorry that they're doing this to you. Let me try and help you. And you don't tell her what you want. Whack straight, punch you straight in your mouth.
She would?
Yeah, chin you. And then they'd piss on you, and then they'd get blanks, and they'd say, put the gun in your hand, shoot him. So you're with 2 other journalists or whoever's doing the call. Shoot him, and you'll survive. So I shot, and then they said, you can go now. Walk 100 metres in that direction. They're in August, like fucking 35 degrees, 40 degrees. I'm sweating buckets, fire everywhere, replica firearms. I'm walking 100 metres. I end up falling down this little river stream, and some guy grabbed me by my head, dragged me back to the shed, and then carried on bashing me up. But they treat you like this to make you understand how you should behave, innit? So the best way I can kind of you ever watched SAS 2 Days Winners? So it's that end of that.
That's exactly what was in my mind.
Yeah. So
when they come in at they're calling the governor or something, he comes in at the end and they torture you basically.
Yeah. So that's the best way I can put you to it. So it's ex-MI5 guys, ex-Special Forces guys. So they do this like 4 or 5 grand course probably, and they say, yeah, jump on this. But yeah, that gave me knowledge and behaviour, just little things like that, and that set you up for success, that sort of stuff.
Did you get pissed on, bro?
Yeah, I don't know who did though. And at the end, I don't know who pissed, probably the pretty babe.
Do you reckon it's real piss?
It stunk like it.
Yeah, well, you could probably make it stink
and
like
it stunk.
Do you reckon someone's actually got it out and pissed
I don't
on
know.
You, like,
I know you ballied up, and they bashed you up, and they took pictures of you as well. So at the end, I'm there, fuck like this, my one eye like that, and they've took pictures of me. And then they'll show you that at the end, like the day after. It's like a decompressing, relaxing, and it's just they're kind of like make sure you're not traumatized. But yeah, them little things would help you in it behave like that in cities. But yeah, and that is not even like I say. So again, the trips began anyway. The trips began.
We haven't even got there yet. Jesus Christ.
So the trips began with these 2 young kids, and they've took me up to this village. I've been assessed and checked out by the local man again, like another cartel man. And he's like, why are you here? And I said, this person's passed on a message. I've been given permission. Okay, this is the man that will be taking you. So they connected you to another man. Again, he was 4 foot nothing, but he was just solid, man. And he said, yeah, tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, we'll get up and go. No conversation, nothing. So he checked how heavy my bag was, and I had to get all my gear as if I'm going to be in the jungle on my own. So it's 27 kilos, rucksack. I'm training for 8-9 miles a day. Once I got the trip, like the expedition going, he just set off at a fucking blistering pace, 15, 16 miles a day he was doing. But I had to keep up with him because he was saying, I'll leave you if you don't keep up with me. I'm like, I have to. And I've got videos again, me crying, saying, and then he slowed down. So I felt I got a bit of respect from him. But then he sped up the next day. He's showing me up, really. Crossing 7 or 8 rivers every day. And the river's above you, so you're swimming across the river, 27 kilos on my back. Flies biting you, snakes that you're stepping over, listening to jaguar as well. So I'm thinking it's all right now. Day 2, you're kind of accustomed to this hard training and like hard effort. So two days in, I'm like, yeah, it's all right now. I've kind of adjusted to the temperature. I've adjusted to the physical element of it. He's like, I'm going to go now. I thought, what do you mean? We've still got 4 days left. In my head, this is what I'm imagining.
You're in the middle of the jungle.
In the middle of the jungle, 2 days in, sweating buckets, skin's coming off my back, lost toenails, in bits. And he's like, I'm going to go now. Bearing in mind, that day also, we'd found a skeleton as well. On like day 2, we come across snakes, come across skeleton, and we found an ID.
A human body.
Human body. Because that part of the world, Darien, there's a lot of people that are being trafficked from Venezuela, Haiti, but they're doing a lot on the Caribbean side. The Pacific side where I was, it's not got no infrastructure. There's no business for that kind of thing. So it's people that are doing it off their own back or new groups that are starting in that area to try and smuggle people through. So yeah, the Pacific is very untouched, but...
Hang on. You're in the middle of the jungle.
Yeah.
Your guide's fucked off and left you.
Yeah.
And you've just found human remains.
He was there. He seen me.
What's going on in your head right now?
It's terrified. So again, it goes to the fear side of things. You're terrified, but what can I do? I'm either going to sit down and do nothing, I'm going to die, or go back and get lost because I wouldn't be able to find my way back, or continue going on for the whole to come across where I need to come across, which was a big river system, which I was looking through on my map. So yeah, it was a blasé to him, skeleton. He was just blasé. And then that day, he just hit the road saying, I'm going to go. So he'd give me like really basic directions, like bottom of the hill, turn right, follow that river, turn left. I'm like, okay. That's normal for you because you've probably done the journey 50 times. But I'm like, okay. And I can't really have an argument with him because he would probably find that, like, I don't know, maybe he would have reacted very different. And what can anyone do, really, if he wanted to react a certain way? We also, on day 2, a lot of stuff happened. 2 people was coming back as well. So that was they must have been a part of the cartel. So they was coming back from a job. They looked worse than I did. So they was obviously in a gunfight or whatever. One had a gun in his back pocket, in his back waist belt. They was fucked. They were shattered. They was dripping sweat. The one was all marked up, and he's asking what I'm doing. But I'm walking to Panama, and I just carried on. But my guide talking to them in the local tribal language, and probably 10, 15 minutes he called me up then. But yeah, they could have been talking about anything at all. But
you reckon that was cartel trafficking?
Yeah, 100%. They had wellies on. Which is typical, like there's certain wellies, which is their like uniform. Obviously. They had a gun in their back waist.
Did you have a weapon?
Nah. I think it was the opportunity presented itself every single time I've been to Colombia. You want a gun, homemade fucking rifles, shotguns, handguns. But again, that brings a different dynamic, I think. If I come across cartel, why have this British geezer got a gun? Is he part of the DEA? Is he a spy? And there wouldn't be no questions, I don't think. I think they would have just killed me anyway, without even figuring it out. I had GPS gear, I had drones, and I had a gun as well. I think that's different dynamic altogether. If you just act like the dopey Brit, then they take pity on you, innit? I'm like, leave me to it. But yeah, so that was day 2. So day 3, day 4, and 5.
That's day 2.
Yeah. So, so the next 3 days is when I was walking. I spent 2 more nights in the jungle. Which was the 3rd night was probably the scariest because the storm was on top of me, hammering it down in rain. And the biggest killer in the jungles, tropical jungles, is like deadfall, like trees, snakes, everything, wandering spiders. But in the middle of the night, when the storm, torrential rain, the trees are falling. They're just fall, and it's literally 10 meters away from my hammock. So I'm just laying there in my hammock, like in a fetal position, thinking, if the tree falls, I'm fucked, I'm dead. And there's 2 trees dropped in that night, within 10 metres of me. And
I reckon if a tree fell on you, you'd half want to be dead.
Yeah.
Because if you're seriously injured in the middle of nowhere,
crushing your leg, you're fucked.
You're fucked anyway. Ain't you?
Imagine being
You'd
alive.
rather die.
Imagine being alive with your legs crushed, snakes, like insects, thinking something's coming to eat your eyes out. That's what would go on in your head. You'd be getting straight away the flies are eating you anyway when you're alive, like they're biting into you, drinking your blood, the mosquitoes, leeches. Your feet are rotting anyway because it just soaked through. And the next thing you just crush down and fucking insects will be eating you, ants be eating you, everything. But yeah, so that was day 3 and night 3. Yeah, on my own completely. Yeah, he's gone. He's gone.
You seen a skeleton and thought, fuck that, I'm out of here.
And I was asking why did he need to leave? Because like I say, he was smuggling stuff back and forward over the years, and if he got picked up, he'd probably spent next till he died in.
He's an ex-trafficker, basically.
In a Panamanian prison.
Drugs or people?
People, drugs, guns, everything. Yeah. That was night 3 in the storm. Day 4 was pretty tranquil, to be fair. It was just walking, and I got.
You enjoyed that?
Yeah, it was like I ended up at a small river, like a river that was top to your ankles, and it was crystal clear, tiny little stones, and like I said, I've got a video, and I'm just sitting in this river. And I'm walking for 7-8 hours, and it was still light. Well, you don't want to be in the jungle at night. Set up another camp, sort myself out. Nothing drastic happened on day 4. Believe it or not, it's just me lost.
What does your camp consist of?
It was be a hammock, which is probably one of the best hammocks you can get for jungles, which is Hennessy hammock. I've used them for years and years and years. I'd clear the ground. I'd tie my bag up so it'd be off the ground. I'd have my tarp and a hammock, so as basic as possible. But
not even a tent.
Nah. But you soak through in it, like the lighter your gear, the better it dries through.
How hard is it to sleep when you soak through like that?
You're shattered in it. Sleep like a baby, man.
Yeah, I guess so.
Even like the fear factor, your body overrides that. You need to sleep, man. You need to sleep.
I think I'd be petrified, I don't reckon I'd be able to sleep no matter how tired I was. Just lying on a hammock in the middle of the jungle. There's cartel about, there's snakes about. Like
it's pitch black. You can literally see the eye shine of spiders as well. Like if you got your torch, you can literally a moth would fly past you. You'd see the eye shine. You literally the light reflects. So you're looking into the bush. There's loads of little eyes everywhere. Be it like an armadillo. Yeah, genuinely like Jungle Book. We're the only animal in the world that don't have an eye shine reflection.
Really?
Yeah. As humans, everything else. There you go. That's a fact for you. Yeah.
Stick that one in your book.
But yeah, so tiny everything.
Mad.
And day 4, slept in the jungle again, no issues really. Day 5, I found a big river, and on the GPS it looked like whatever I wanted to get to. Sat there for 3 hours because it was big and I was shattered, and I seen a little kid in the distance fishing. So I shouted, told him to come over. He told me to cross over. I can't just cross over the river, I'm fucked. And I did try and cross over, but I got swept down about 15 metres. I lost my machete, my hat, some power banks, and I was at 15 metres. He's there looking at me laughing. And I ended up getting back onto the bank. He'd come back half an hour later with his canoe. He's like, pay me $20. This is Panama now. It's just all dollars there. It's very Americanized Panama. Oh, man, I'm fucked. I've got blood coming down my back. I've got no toenails. And he's saying, give me $20 before I take you to my village. This has been violated extra. Anyway, I had $300, which I took out in Colombia.
Before I take you to my village?
Yeah.
So what would have happened then?
He probably just left me. Yeah, he would have just left me and disappeared. Like, okay, son. But even more funny, yeah, I had $300 in $100 notes from what I got in Colombia. No. So I'm like, I got no $20, So I'm like, give me this. I'm expecting the shop and stuff to be in the village and say, I want my change back in Spanish the best I could. He's like, yeah, no problem. You see center front, and the center front are the border guards of Panama. So like the special forces of Panama, they would be the ones that would pick me up. That's another story in a second. Never seen the fucker again. He'd run off with $100 for a 20-minute journey.
How much is that to him?
That's like a month's work. Easily.
Mad.
Easily. He's got me to the village. I sat there. Bare dogs that are looking like they're about to die, like starving dogs in the village. Centre front come over, called me over, stripped me naked. They thought I was a criminal straight away. So they're special forces, stripped me naked, pull all my stuff on the floor. It was.
They didn't piss on you, did they?
Nah, stripped me starkers.
At that point, did you think, fuck, that training's coming into play?
Yeah, I'm blessed. I've been fully prepped for this. Stripped me naked, all my stuff on my tarp. So they just looked at it and explaining to me. Like, the one guy was trying to learn English as well, although he spoke 4 languages. He's trying to speak to me in English. Stripped me naked to realise I wasn't a criminal from Venezuela or Haiti, and then all my best friends after that. Literally looked after me, got another boatman to take me to where I need to like 4 miles down the down another stream. So I was there all day. Then I got another old man to take me like 4 or 5 miles down the river, and that's the end point, which was Hake. And I'd been to Hake 4 times before. I had a friend, I've got friends there who have a little house, and so once I got there, I felt liberated. I was like content, but I still got exploited there by the flipping migration. They treated me like a criminal. I still need to pay them $150 for the migration to take me to La Palma, another town in Panama. So bear in mind, I've lost 100 quid on that fucker. Anyway, the kid. Probably pay 80 quid for the boatman. And now the immigration, who are being criminals anyway, they're exploiting everybody for getting me 150 quid before I take you anywhere. So yeah, I ended up in Panama with zero money, walking around the town barefoot because it's a Sunday, everywhere was closed. And then I went to La Palma with a man from the migration in Panama, and then I went to the bank, got more money to pay them, and then finally get some shoes on my feet. I looked like something out of the movies. It was ridiculous. I looked like a shadow of myself. I'd lost weight. I'd lost about 8 kilos probably in 5 days. So I was a bag of bones.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I'm walking around the town barefoot.
What were your shoes?
They were fucked. There was a strip, so there was all holes in them, and it was when from Panama, from the centre front, they'd left them there. They just took them.
How many miles do you reckon you walked there?
Maybe about 80. That's it. That would have been literally 80 over the 5 days, probably 80 miles. That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
So you need to think, it's up and down hills and that as well, and it was rough going, but yeah, I finished, no skin on my back, 8 kilos lighter, no shoes, looking like a homeless man.
I'm broke.
Broke as
because they've ripped you all the way along.
Yeah. But then that was a dream for years and years, and I was like, I walk around naked. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, well, congratulations, you hit your goal, innit? You did it.
Yeah.
You did it. Mad.
Yeah. And that was like about 2 years ago. Oh yeah, and it went wild locally.
When you say you had no skin on your back,
it was just because of my rucksack, and so it was constantly wet as well. So raining every single day, sweat. It's like carpet burn for like 4 days constantly. Yeah.
How painful was that?
Bad.
Did it hurt?
Yeah. My muscles in my legs.
I didn't know whether you was going
to
to say it hurt or your body was just completely numb.
Yeah, it was fucked. You knew it was there, but yeah, but it's like complaining about why is it raining. The fuck all you can do in it. But yeah, my muscles were spasming for like 2 days as well in my legs, so it was just vibrating constantly.
Once you completed that, did you fly home?
No, I went and partied in Panama City. I flew from Hake, got a boat from Hake to La Palma, and then we got from La Palma, which is the capital of the Darien in Panama, went to Panama City, and I went and found a bar with loads of pretty waitresses, mate. And that was it. And I just enjoyed myself for 4 days.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
I bet that felt like heaven after that, innit?
Got a little hotel with a pool and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you have to go shopping?
Yeah, I brought like
you've got no clothes.
Yeah,
have you?
it's all jungle. Yeah, it's jungle specific clothes, like fucking all sodden and stinking anyway. So I went and brought.
Ain't gonna get no pretty waitresses in that.
No, back in the day, JD used to do like 2 t-shirts for like 15 quid. I did like Panama. You got like a similar kind of sports shop. You get 2 t-shirts, $15. I just bought loads of different t-shirts, different shoes. Went and enjoyed myself.
Do you know what's mad? Just that one story, just the Darien Gap story could be a whole film. It could be a whole series.
Yeah.
Just what you've witnessed and what you've saw there could be a series on TV.
Yeah, you need to connect with the right people, man. I've got a few people approached me to write a book.
Yeah.
And she was writing a book for me on that, but then she said she couldn't do it because there was one of her kids got really ill. So she kind of stepped back. So I think it's still there, the opportunity.
Yeah.
I just need to connect with the right people.
Well, after your next trip, you're going to have a lot of opportunities presenting yourself because you are doing what no one else is going to do.
Yeah.
But just before we get to the next trip and what you're going to be doing next, there's one more thing that you've done after that.
Yeah. So it was this year. I named it the Rio Negro. So the plan was to travel from Colombia to Brazil in Manaus. So Colombia, the Valpes department, and it was, again, it's very tribal, very traditional. I got a journalist on board, so the trip was to follow the whole Rio Negro from Colombia, Venezuela to Brazil. So you skirt the Venezuelan border. When I got there, I spent probably a week, 2 weeks preparing for it. It took me like a year to plan and connect with the right people. Got in touch with the right people. Got a journalist on board as well. He followed me for 5 days. But first plan never succeeds, ever. Anyway, got there in a small little town called Mitu. Again, brought a local boat. Me and this journalist thought, yeah, we'll set off. I got told I'm going to get ate by the tribes. They're still running away with bow and arrows. The cannibals are still there. Our guide at the time who connected me was a FARC rebel as well. So his story, he told me, like I said, I've caught it all on video as well. He was a rebel, a child soldier. So when he's 14, 15, he was kidnapped by the FARC, which is the largest or longest standing, oldest rebel faction in Colombia. They kidnapped him as a kid, and to like an introduction, they made him kill loads of people. So they lined up loads of burglars, supposedly, like the thieves and rapists, supposedly they were, and they put him in a small room like this and just sat him outside, just said shoot. And a 14-year-old kid, they made it just pepper this house with a weapon. Peppered it, and he killed probably 18, 20 people, is what he says. He didn't know no different. He was kidnapped as a kid, got into the ranks of the FARC, and they just made him kill all these people that they didn't get on with. So that was like an initiation. He spent 2 years, 3 years in the FARC, so 17, 18, he said he escaped. But the way he escaped, there was a fight. He jumped into the river after like a gunfight, swam the river, ended up in, 2-3 days in the jungle. And that's how he escaped. Him and a girl, he said, escaped. But then he ended up moving to Mitu, which is a small town in Colombia. And a few years back, he said he's seen the girl that he supposedly escaped with, but he didn't know if she escaped safely. He thought she was dead when they both jumped in the river because he'd never seen her again. So he ran back home because he thought if she'd either left it, that's great, but he didn't know if she was still in the FARC rebel and they caught her, and then they would have went back to the leaders and said, oh, we found him, he's here. So he was thinking like that. He'd married now, got 2 kids, and he's like, I'm going to go back. And he's seen her in the village, and that's the way they still live in Colombia, and that's like, I think that's wild. But he helped me a load. But yeah, it just shows you the reality of the stuff that's still happening now in Colombia. As the expedition started, me and the journalist jumped on the boat, canoeing, and we capsized within 2 miles. Closest time to death ever. And I'm there paddling like a crazed animal. And I'm not the best swimmer, but we're like 15 meters in the middle of the river. So me and this journalist, we're paddling, trying to get out. We ended up getting back to the side of the banks of the river. We're like, that's not going to work. So then the plan changed to hitchhiking. So I would literally jump on board with an actual captain of a boat, a person that can canoe properly. No petrol used. It was just all manpower. So it's like from one village to the next village to the next village. And it took me 6 weeks, over 2,000 miles. And we just canoeing from Colombia to Brazil. And that was the last trip this year, which, and like I say, first plan failed. But again, resilience and just committing, this is what I want to do. And yeah, I ended up succeeding in that. But I got robbed and abandoned within that time. So I brought petrol. I know it's wild. Petrol I bought was like our fee for the man for his family to come back from Brazil. That you buy us 20 gallons of petrol and that will help us get back up, or however much it was at the time, 150 quid worth. I'm like, yeah, sound, deliver that. I gave a man the money. He said the petrol is now in this village. Me and the journalist turned up at this village. No petrol. No guy to be seen. They've rinsed me again.
You fell for it.
Fucking like a sucker.
You fell for it.
Again, I should have learned. Yeah, I should have learned. So yeah, no petrol, no guy to be seen. So again, how can I figure this out? There was a missionary man. Like he goes around and spreads the word of God. He said he can go there, he can help me, connect with the people who would start me the canoe trip. So that worked out. But in between that and going to a man called Carlos in a village called Taina, they left me for 5 days there. I was on my own in the village. There was no food. They're saying he will be back. The chief of the village will be back. The chief of the village. So 5 days in the middle of a village. No one's there. There's 2 houses. I'm there in a hammock in this abandoned shack. And yeah, so I was abandoned for 5 days in this little village. No one around. And I'm there, sitting there, no food. Fishing, not working out. And I'm knocking loads of fruits down off the tree. So I'm eating acai, which is like a really nice fruit, Brazil, like a fruit from Brazil, and a thing called farin. So farin is like cassava grind down. So you get the river water, put it in with the farin, and then you put all the acai juice. So I was eating that for 5 days. So it's like literally a juice diet for 5 days. And when the captain of the village came back, great, we got fish and food and everything. But they just left me, knew there was a gringo in his village. Like, yeah, Sandy, be all right.
I was just speaking of food, I wanted to ask you this. When you're in the jungles and stuff, like, what are you eating?
So I will always take probably 4 days emergency rations. So that's like the army rations, what they would take. But that would only be, like I say, an emergency. If I'm stranded for 2 days, then I'll start eating my rations. But I'd fish, typically. There's some weird food that I have. When I was in Guyana, we didn't eat for 3 days in that journey. And we ended up digging out a turtle nest. So we dug out a turtle nest and was eating baby turtles. Yeah, that was fucked. That was fucked, to be fair. But yeah, that was bad. But I wouldn't do that, innit?
I'll never tell my missus you said that.
I wouldn't do that.
Pet turtle.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that now. Like in a survival situation.
That's the old you.
Oh yeah, I had
You have
to.
to.
And it was literally there was like half developed in some eggs. There was some hatching, and we just literally boiled them. And, later.
Mate, you see people that get stranded on islands, and when one of the friends die, they have to eat them, don't they? Because it's the only way you're going to survive.
Yeah.
So I guess a turtle's it's not
Happy
that
days,
bad.
Yeah.
What's it taste like?
It tasted like salt, but it was like crunchy salt, but it was juicy as well. So it was like gooey, like it was like salty jelly. Is the best way I can explain
Like
it.
a snail.
I've never ate snail,
Neither have I, but I'd imagine that's
that kind of texture.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine it. But yeah, it was like crunchy because of the bones that started to form and the shell starting to form and that. But it tasted like salt jelly. So it was like a crunchy, salty jelly. That's the best way I can explain it.
Did you enjoy it?
We had loads of them. We were going in. But the next day was a day full of great fishing. The next day, so if we just thought sack it off for one more day, we caught wolffish, piranha, everything the next day.
Fuck.
Yeah, and worms and that. We ate worms a few times as well. It's like little beetle grubs.
Rest in peace to turtles, man.
Yeah. But that fucked me up. I'd got pictures of them as well. I have to dig them out of Dropbox. Yeah. Fuck. Again, I lost so much weight that trip as well. Ridiculous.
Oh, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah.
So yeah, there's some weird things that I ate.
You sound like a fucking weird murderer. I took pictures of them and then I ate them.
Man.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So let's go back to where we was. Sorry, I just wanted to ask that question. So I was thinking, what the fuck are you eating in this time?
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. The food. So where were we?
We was in
canoe in Rio Negro. So we turned up. The village man turned back up. Like, yeah, we've got a boat now. Yeah, I could have died. I could have turned up and I could have been on the porch. But he's like, yeah, we've got a boat and tomorrow we'll set off. So we went back up ourselves for about 50 miles, and then we met the missionary man, the God, the Jesus, the one who spreads like the word of God up and down the tribal villages. And then we began our canoe trip. And again, that took 6 weeks. I got robbed, abandoned. Caught leishmaniasis as well, which is a tropical disease, like a flesh-eating disease. Because when I'm sitting there and it's just, you're not eating well. When I got back, and all my back and that was just flesh was coming off because it's a little disease from where you get in the tropics. But you got no cure for it. Just get a cream. But yeah, leishmaniasis. But it's all gone now. So yeah, healthy as now.
I think that brings us to the end of your trip so far, don't it?
Yeah. So
that brings us to the end of that. What you doing next?
So the next...
Honestly, I feel like I've just watched a series. That is absolutely incredible. Off camera, you said to me, if I ever have kids, I want to have a story to tell them.
Yeah. And I think I
could sit and listen to this all night.
I think that's a driver. I think I need stories. I want experiences myself. I'm the coolest man in the planet to my nephews and nieces. They'd write books about me and that, homework about me. I'm happy with that. Yeah, cheaters in the jungle. I have to correct them on their facts.
My uncle eats turtles.
Yeah, they have literally written. No,
but honestly, what a life you've lived so far. But it ain't ending there, is it? Let's talk about Siberia. So
Siberia is the next big one. It's gonna be probably the most extreme, I think. Siberia, Far East Russia. Again, nobody goes that part of the world because it's so hard to get to. But yeah, Siberia, so I'll be following the length of a river called the Lena River in Siberia, which will be starting at Lake Baikal, which is the source, and then I'll be up and down following the source to mouth, which is into the Arctic Ocean. And that'll probably take me about 3-4 months, about 2,000 miles in the November next year, November 2025. And I'll be away January, February, March next year as well, training for it in Sweden with a good organisation called Jadat, who train me. So I'm clued up with the Arctic side of things because, again, it's a whole new thing to me. The Arctic expeditions, cold weather. And you say cold weather, the temperatures drop into -70, -80, and that's a regular thing there. So again, all the specialist clothing that I'll have to get from Russia, because you wouldn't be able to get it here. So I'll have to go to Russia once or twice next year to get the gear. So that's the whole, that ball's rolling at the minute. There's a lot of people on the ground working, getting the local sources, getting the local permits, getting permission off the government, well, the Sakha Republic government, which is where the area will be. And then there should be no concerns with that. So yeah, canoe, skiing, walking the length of the Lena River in -70.
What wildlife are you coming across there?
So again, you're going to get that part of the world. You're going to get wolves, polar bears. Polar bears is another big one that I think, like, people imagine seeing that in real life, like a polar bear. And there's up by the ocean near the end, polar bear. So I'll be shattered at a time, and coming across a polar bear. How many people can say that? Being able to see a polar bear.
I don't reckon many people live to tell the tale, bro.
Yeah,
you're going to have some kind of gun or something there, aren't you? Because you can't just run away from a polar bear.
Nah, it's like you say, Russia,
or a pack of wolves.
Nah, Russia's like the Wild West. I know a lady that did an expedition a couple of years there, just before the situation going on now, and they handed her a gun and they left her to it. They gave her a gun and got back off in a helicopter. But there'll be a lot of training that's in the pipeline, January, February, March. So yeah, that's the only protection. I mean, I don't want to be using it, but it's there if we need to. But it'll be, I don't know, whatever Magnum, I assume. But they gave her a choice of two. They gave her an AK-47 or a Magnum handgun, and she got given a Magnum handgun, and they gave her 8 bullets and left her to it.
Just off camera, my brother said they gave her 8 bullets, but what if there's a pack of 9?
Then you fucking had it. Yeah. So that's you're fucked then. Yeah.
What the fuck? 8 bullets.
Yeah, left her to it. Do you know that?
Fucking good luck.
Oh.
What if there is a pack of 9 polar bears?
I've had it then, haven't I?
You've got to choose which one each you, ain't you, basically? Yeah. You've got to shoot 8.
Shoot the biggest one.
Yeah. Fuck.
How's you coming up against them?
It'd be all the bears. So you're going to get black bear, you're going to get grizzly bear. Again, that part of the world, Amur tiger, so the Siberian tiger as well. But I mean, there's probably only 3 of them left in the world. But yeah, there's where I'm starting.
You'd be unfortunate to come across one of them, wouldn't you?
That's all 3.
With 2 bullets left.
Where I'm starting, there's like on the route, there's like unnamed peaks and all sorts. So there's peaks that people haven't even climbed up. But yeah, they've released a group of tigers in the region as well, like a conservation effort. And on the route, they found like Amur tiger tracks as well. So you're gonna get the Amur tigers, the polar bears, black bears, brown bears, wolves. You're going to get all the big mammals, bison, reindeer. But again, I think the biggest thing or danger to my life will be the cold. Again, -70 is just unfathomable. You just can't. It just don't make sense, does it? I think the lowest I've seen here in the UK is like -12 or something.
-70.
Mad, isn't it?
Fuck.
It makes more sense to me going to more likely to go space than feel 70 minus.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Once you've done that and survived it, I'd like to have another sit down with you so we can talk all about that trip.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that is going to be some story.
Yeah, it's like it's a 4-month journey in the dead of winter. It's going to be brilliant, I think.
We spoke about 4 or 5 stories today, and I think we could have spent an hour on each if we wanted to. So I think doing a part 2 with you all about Siberia would be amazing, because I'd like to hear that story. That'd be nuts.
Yeah, let me know whenever. I'll let you know when I come back. Well,
if you come back, mate.
Let me get the ball rolling. I need to film -30 in Sweden first. So imagine that.
Yeah. Mad.
Yeah.
Madness. Mate, you have lived some life. I could sit and listen to this all day, and hopefully one day someone creates a series or a documentary or a film on some of the things that you've saw, because what you're doing is absolutely alien to most people. And fair play to you, because you've got a bigger set of balls than we have.
Yeah, I appreciate it. One life, that's one life, like one life, isn't it? That's how I kind of think. One life, live it. Got stories. But yeah.
Anything you want to finish up on?
Now, just like I say, people get on board, follow, like my website, merchanttraveller.com, or socials, just my name, Daniel Eggington. Yeah.
We'll put all that on the screen or in the bio. Just have a look for it. And once again, like I said, go and check out his YouTube channel because you are putting stuff on there. And that's something that needs to be seen because it's a madness. Thank you for your time, bro. Thank you. Like I said, I could have sat and listened to you all night. You've got stories forever. You're going to be the cool uncle. And I think, I can't wait to hear all about Siberia. And I want to send a special shout out as well to Jay Cuts from the Cut Club, which is the best barbers in the Midlands, because he said to me, I was having my hair cut and he said, have you seen this Daniel Eggington guy? I said, show me. and he was like, look at some of the stuff he's doing. And I was like, I've got to get him on a podcast. So shout out Jake. But anything you wanna ask or finish up on? Because there's always something ticking in your head.
What's the most nearest death experience you've had during all this?
So just to say it on the microphone, Connor asked, what was your most... I nearly said that the wrong way. What's your most near-death experience?
I think one that comes like close to, like I'll say two. One of my recce trips or my planning trips for the Darien Gap, I was walking up the beach, checking out one of the routes that I supposedly could have done, but the ocean was coming in. So I had to cut into the jungle, so about 15, 20 metres into the jungle, cut into the jungle, and I had to come back around onto the beach. But I didn't realise how steep coming back down was. So as I'm coming down, I've literally fell down a cliff which was going into the ocean. So my bag caught into a branch. So I'm thinking, my bag's on a branch. If I flick my badge like the buckle, the bag's going to fly up that way and I'm going to fly down that way. So I'm there 15 minutes trying to figure out this. No machete, my machete's gone flying out of my holster because I would use that as like an ice axe. I popped the badge, the belt buckle. The bag has gone that way and I've gone 10, 15 metres down and I was probably 2 metres away before falling into the ocean. And that was like, and I caught that on video as well, but it's all like muffly and I'm like falling down, like thinking, fuck, that was a close one. And look, trekking back up, getting my bag and going back down, back onto the beach where I cut myself up initially, carried on walking about half a mile. And there was a little house there and there's two little guys come running out of the house. I'm thinking, shit, cartel. So on camera, I said, no gun, no gun. And all he did is call me over and said, the ocean is coming in, come and have some food. 4 hours sat with him. And then he let me go about my business.
Mad.
How wild, yeah.
Was he speaking English or was you speaking Spanish?
Spanish.
Yeah.
Madness.
Did you hurt yourself?
Yeah, it was all my leg was all cut off. But in the Latin American tropics, there's a thing called razor grass. So it's like grass quite high. And it's literally like razor blades. It'll just cut you left, right, and centre. So that's like a defence mechanism of the grass. So I'm falling down. I'm all my arms, I cut all my skin coming off my hands. But yeah, it's just loads of razor blades, chop, like bare paper cuts. Yeah.
Anything else you want to ask? Because you're still going, aren't you?
Did you ever come across like any signs of cannibalism or anything?
Yeah, there's always. I mean, Guyana, I think probably the closest because they genuinely do it there. And the last trip in Brazil, they was telling me the high Rio Negro, there is still cannibal tribes there, but you see them with bow and arrows. And I was literally caught like hunting Guyana, and I seen a man chasing an agouti, but he had like bare, like quite a few weird teeth. And he's like, yeah, he used to eat people, or he still does. Well, yeah, because of region 1, region 2, region 3, region 4, that's how they cut the country up in different regions. Well, yeah, so region 4, they say, oh, them tribes definitely eat. Region 1, no. Well, yeah. But you get different tribes, war tribes, more nomadic tribes. But yeah, over history, and they're still doing that in Guyana.
You literally just seen him living in the jungle, bow and arrow.
Yeah, no clothes, nada. Nothing, just fishing. Yeah.
Finished.
I'm done now.
Sorted. Anything you want to finish up on?
No, just shoot.
Thank you for watching Convos with Curtis. You've listened to the amazing story of Daniel Eggington's life so far. Click the links in the bio, support him, follow his journey to Siberia, watch all of his content, subscribe to his YouTube, because what this guy's doing is absolutely unfathomable to most of us. So yeah, thanks for watching and we'll see you again soon.
I appreciate it.